Hey there, welcome to Woohoo Wednesday. I'm still in London.
Yay.
One of my favorite people,
Yes.
Misty Reich. And we have been talking about startups that we work with, a startup that Misty's working on. Can't talk about it though, but more to come when she's ready.
Yeah.
Watch this space. And we started talking about the startup mentality and what our clients and what Misty's past life in big companies want is this entrepreneurial mentality. They want intrapreneurship. They are launching incubators.
Yes.
They're doing
Startups within
venture
large
funds.
corporations. Venture funds are very popular right now. I've seen big companies hiring agencies and bringing them in-house to, I guess, try to get them to incubate within their businesses.
If you're a CEO and you want disruptive ideas and you want to make sure that you're not disrupted. So how do you do this? We thought, we talk a lot about polarity in innovation, and holding polarity is easier said than done. But when Misty and I were talking about it, we were like, this is actually a really good place for you to start if you are thinking about how to get more entrepreneurial mindsets and thinking in your innovation process. Now, let me first define polarity as we define it. Now, polarity is not holding an edge or doing something wild for the sake of being wild. Polarity is about doing something different because it's authentic to you and your brand, and it resonates with your target consumers. What it can mean sometimes is it makes you uncomfortable. It can mean that it reaches a smaller group, so it might be more niche.
Yeah.
It could be something that's really edgy and something that gets a lot of PR and buzz. And it might make someone who's in a big company who's used to getting giant sales from something really safe think that it's a small idea because it's only $30 million in sales as opposed to 300 million or
Yeah.
500 million, right?
Yeah, and I think as an entrepreneur, polarity is the only space that you really can play in. In the business that I'm building, I don't have the resources to try to approach mainstream populations. I have to be incredibly niche, incredibly focused. I do have to be polarizing in how I'm thinking about the target for my brand. I don't have an option.
No, because if you aren't polarizing, you won't hold any space in this category that is very crowded.
Yeah, I'll never be able to stand out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to really be sharp and focused and narrow.
Yeah, because your marketing dollars can only take you so far.
Yes.
So when you're not this big mega brand like we work with and you come from, you have these big marketing dollars, you have to take these steps to, it's like a peacock. You have to come up with your peacock, feathers. How do you show up? And you have to do things that are edgy. So we started to think, well, how do we help you think about this? We're gonna give you an example of a $30 million a year brand that we are both fans of. We think it's a fabulous brand and innovation.
Yeah.
And it makes us laugh.
It does.
And so whenever we get to laugh and then do a video about it, it's always a win-win.
And it was launched in my hometown, so Dallas, Texas. So
Awesome.
It's back to my roots.
Okay, so you can unveil it.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, the brand is Poopery. It's an odor blocker.
So here's what they did. They went into a very crowded space with very synthetic chemical brands, some of the biggest brands that make air fresheners, and they charged, $1 to $3 to $5 a can for this spray. And this woman who had gone bankrupt twice, she has tried and tried again to be successful. Her name is Susie Batiz. She has sold 7 million bottles of this essential oil spray that you spray in the toilet before you go to the bathroom. And sorry to be graphic for all of you pretty flowers out there.
It's pre-poo.
It's pre-poo.
Pre-poo spray. Scott, call it what it is.
And that's where it's polarizing.
Yes.
This is the polarity, right? So we're gonna give you a little exercise and you can download this tool, but we'll do this with you. So how did she start to create something that was really unique and ownable, that was really, really fun, that broke through a really crowded industry? Well, one of the things we like to do is we like to come up with all of the rules of the category. And so if you're a CEO and you're trying to disrupt, let's just use Poopery as an example, okay? So what were the rules of the category of air fresheners, okay? So let's just think of every single rule, we'll just riff on them.
Yeah.
Like they came in a can.
Yeah, it was always associated with flowers or greenery, trees and flowers.
Or cotton for some reason.
Yeah,
like
linen.
everyone is smelling cotton and linen in their bathrooms.
I don't even know what linen smells like, to be honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
so cotton, flowers, trees, greenery.
Yeah.
It was usually delivered through a lot of chemicals, right? So not
Yes.
really natural.
No. Aerosol, lots of aerosol focus.
Yeah.
Polarizing, like really penetrating, like the spray, really very strong.
Yes, you
smells.
knew it when you came into the room after someone had used it.
Yeah,
right. So there's
which
this
is ironic if you're trying to be discreet.
Exactly.
It hits you like a wall.
Yeah, so it's not discreet. It's very chemically super strong.
Yes.
You spray it after you use it. Okay, so that's a rule of the category.
Yep.
You spray it, and you have to write down all of these things. You might think they're silly that you spray it. Well, there could be an opportunity to disrupt with something that's not a spray, right? What else? It was targeted mainly for men and targeting like super stink bombs, right?
Yeah, well, I think that was never said though, right?
No, but they usually showed a lot of women doing it around their men on the TV commercials. We could go through 30, 40 rules of the category of air fresheners. Now, let's talk about the ones that they broke. Okay.
Yeah.
So, essential oils instead of chemicals, right?
Yes.
The most important rule that they broke was you spray it before, not after.
Yeah. Not only have to admit that you poo, you have to admit that you're planning to.
Yes. They targeted women.
Yes.
And they made it something that was, instead of something that you're embarrassed about, something you could laugh about. They removed the shame of the category.
Yes.
To a certain extent. I mean,
Yes.
it's not a pretty sight, but they had fun with it. They say we're number 1 and number 2. That's one of their slogans.
Yes. And there are ads with the woman sitting
On the toilet.
The toilet, yes, which is very bold.
Yeah.
And definitely eye-catching and certainly polarizing.
Yeah.
There's a big emotional payoff for this, right?
Sure.
The avoidance of that
Shame.
embarrassment and shame, right?
Yeah. So avoidance of shame. People actually put it on top of their toilet and they have it in their bathrooms. They don't even try to hide it.
No.
You know, like the other air fresheners get hid in the.
They're behind. They put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Down behind.
Here you have the little cute bottle. Okay, let's talk about the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't polarizing in their packaging in that it wasn't like this breakthrough packaging like Method soap was breakthrough, right?
No.
Theirs is this kind of silly little plastic bottle.
Yeah, never changed as far as I can tell since the day that they launched.
Yeah.
And flowery, like grandma flowery.
Like grandma's bathroom.
Like
the
grandma-
crocheted tissue boxes.
Like grandma's bathroom.
Yeah, so it stands out. They
It
didn't
does.
make it too sleek.
No, I don't think they've spent. I want to say, yeah, I'm not going to
Much
use those
money.
words. Yeah, I don't think they've spent much money on the packaging,
Yeah.
the design.
And sometimes that works. And so if you think of, again, being polarizing, sometimes you don't have to spend the money that all of these big mega brands spend on the things to make things look so polished. Actually, the authenticity of it is what makes it charming. So here this woman has a limited marketing budget. She marketed online on, video commercials, had a ton of fun with this character sitting on the toilet.
And I remember when I was younger on road trips with the family, you would find poopery at these random roadside shops. So like
Yes.
Buc-ee's or these kind of like truck stops.
Yeah. Or gift shops.
Gift
like all
shops.
the gift
They have
shops.
a little gift shop inside the truck stop.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where they're gonna be.
Yeah,
That's
like the little grandma who sells the doilies and like the, cute little wooden signs that you hang in your house.
Yes.
She would sell poopery.
Yes.
And so it's a different distribution strategy. She was like, well, listen, I'm not going to compete against Glade and Renews It and all these guys in grocery. I'm going to compete at these gift shops.
Yes.
Where people are looking for something funny. And I bought this as a gift for people.
Yes.
Who buys air freshener for the bathroom as a gift for
Imagine. Housewarming.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's for your new bathroom.
Yes.
And how much is it? It's like what?
$8
$8, $10?
But for a small bottle like this.
Yeah. So she's using essential oils, not using all the chemical stuff. She's got a great story behind it. She's not having any shame around something that's a totally natural biological need for all of us that we don't want to talk about.
No.
She went after the target that is completely opposite of all the commercials about smelly men. She went after smelly women, knowing that hopefully these guys would use it too, and they're spraying their little essential oils before they go, which required a new behavior. This is all very polarizing. And you might say, gosh, that's a lot of work, but look at how successful she's been. Now, success is relative, right? So, okay, you're some big muckety-muck CEO and you might go, well, $30 million isn't that successful. Well, guess what? She's continuing to gain momentum, and she's disrupted your category. So the question is, why weren't you looking at this space? Why weren't you talking to aromatherapy people about essential oils, or plumbers, or toilet designers, or psychologists around the shame of number 2?
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about, why isn't there a social anthropologist studying how women and men use the bathroom differently? And I'm sure some of these companies have done this before, but aren't you wondering how you missed this?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you get disrupted. Now, how do you do this for yourselves? You go and make all the rules of your category in one big long list. You can do this in pajamas on a Saturday if you're a CEO. Then you ask your team to make even more rules, and you list every single thing that you have. It's actually much easier than you think.
Yeah.
And Misty's doing this with her new company.
Yeah.
So she's taking some rules of her category that she knows very, very well, because she is a consumer in her category. A big consumer.
I'm a heavy consumer in my category.
Consumer of her category, and she's breaking the rules.
Yeah.
And she doesn't need to break all of the rules. She has to break the ones that are authentic to her.
Yes.
And that are meaningful.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think when we were talking about this, we're thinking about, okay, why do we get so stuck in big companies around this? And why can't we get to the level of innovation? It's not a lack of resources at all. In fact, quite the opposite. But what I have as an entrepreneur is I have a necessity. I have no other way to move forward but by making a big, bold move, and by being narrow and focused and making that polarized play.
Yeah.
And so, we were talking about this, in companies, you become too big to fail, and there's so much that's at risk. And so one of the things we were saying is that it might be interesting to try this approach in an area where you are not yet playing. So if you're in obviously I know the food business probably better, but if you have a day part that you've not yet cracked, it's not likely to be cannibalistic to the rest of your business. You don't have business. It would only be incremental because you're not there yet. So are there places in your business that you've been constantly frustrated that you haven't been able to break into, that would be incremental, that wouldn't be cannibalistic? That's probably where you want to go and say, how this is probably a space where we could really go hell for leather from a polarizing standpoint and try this.
And have some fun.
And have some fun
with very
it.
little risk.
Yeah, low risk. Anything will be gravy. If you can crack it.
And then what you can do is say, all right, who are the competitors that we're not thinking about? So there are obviously the competitors in your category, but then who are the adjacent competitors, and then the third degree competitors? And get your team thinking about, who are these competitors and what might they disrupt us with that we are thinking is too small potatoes for us to play? Oh, it's only $30 million.
Right.
It's only a $30 million business.
Jeez, I'd take it.
Gosh, seriously.
Yeah.
And these small businesses are looking at you saying, if I only had the research resources.
Yeah.
If I only had the scientists.
The labs.
Yeah. The vendors.
Yeah.
The distribution.
Yes.
How are you using your distribution or not to your advantage that, these small companies might not have that runway, that you could do something you could test really quickly. Finally, I think what you can also think about is, when you're thinking about your competitive set, you're thinking about how these folks can come in and disrupt you, think about what is the potential for you to pursue real white space, whether it's using your manufacturing capability, your scientific capability, your technological capability, your people capacity. How could you put yourself out of business and recreate in a new industry? That doesn't mean you're going to do that fully, but it might mean it's a new revenue stream for you. And it might mean it's eventually kind of a gas pedal off here, gas pedal on here as the industries change.
Yeah. That's
really pursuing white space, which a lot of our clients say that they want to do, but they don't necessarily take the time and the resources to actually pursue it.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you find that in your
Absolutely. And I think that there's also just no appetite whatsoever when push comes to shove to risk any of your core lines of business. And I think that this is an approach that would be very interesting, where there's pressure in your business to bring in entrepreneurs. And I'm hearing that. I do consulting work, and I hear this with my clients as well. And I even have some clients that have created these little internal pods, and ultimately it comes apart. And I think that when you get down to the root of what you're really looking for, is you're really looking for a way to compete with disruptors, to compete with nimble entrepreneurs. And when you look at what they're really doing, double click in, then what are you really trying to accomplish? Is you're really trying to accomplish aggressive innovation that is in fact polarizing. So this polarity piece is just straight down at the root of why I think people are asking for that entrepreneurship within business.
Yeah. And if you allow your team members to pursue this kind of work, they will be happier at work.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yes.
It gives people a sense of energy and excitement. So not only will you get great ideas, but you will start to shift your culture. So if you ask for this and people start to get engaged and they hear that you have an appetite for these kinds of ideas, we see it. We see people just light up when they get to work on these kinds of projects.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. You want to create.
Yeah, we all want to create. So we hope that you try these exercises. If you want to listen to the podcast too, there's a cool podcast that we'll put a link to about Susie Baptiste and Poopery. Highly recommend that you buy the product for your next housewarming gift.
Yes.
And it's just it's great to have Misty here with me. Another episode of Woohoo Wednesday, and you might see some more. All right, have a great week.
Bye. Woohoo.